Hello and welcome to our 36th session, and in this session we are going to spawn our enemy on different points on our island. It is very simple. We are going to first convert our game object into a prefab, then we are going to use a command called instantiate. And for this instantiate command, we are going to add three parameters. One is the game object that needs to be spanned, the second is its position, and the third is its rotation. Now in this case, when it comes to position, we are going to set a range of position for X and Z axis. Y axis is not going to change. On the island, we are going to select a random range of X and a random range of Z. Using this logic, we are going to span our enemy from different points on our island. So let's dive into Unity. As usual, we will first launch Unity Hub, come into the project, start with this tilting_island3 file to continue from the previous session. But if you doesn't have this source files, don't worry. Come into the new project, select SRP Universal 3D as the template, come into the project name, and I am going to call this as tilting_island_4, and in Unity project folder, click on create project. As the project is getting loaded, come into the YouTube video or the e-learning page, scroll down, and in the description click on more, and you are provided with a Patreon link. Click on it. Coming into the Junior Programmer Series Patreon page, scroll down, and here you are provided with a file 36_ spawning enemies against player Unity package. Click on this to download it. Also, if required, download Satvik_layout WLT file. Once Unity is launched, come into the project panel, select this Readme file. Come into the inspector and you have remove Readme assets. Click on it, and in the confirmation dialog box, click on proceed. Come into the project panel and you doesn't even need this input system action. Select it and delete it. And here in the confirmation box, click delete. If your layout is not just like what you are seeing here, you can come on the right hand side on the layout, click here and choose Satvik. If Satvik layout is not available, come to load layout from file, come to your download folder and select Satvik_layout.wlt file and click on open. So now your layout and the layout you are seeing here will be the same. Now come into the project, come into asset, right click, and now choose import package custom package, and in your download folder you just downloaded this 36_spawning enemies file. Select it and click open. Now in the import Unity package dialog box, all is selected and click on import. In the asset you have a folder called scenes. Open it and select this tilting island scene, double click to open it. You doesn't need this sample scene. Select it, right click and choose delete, and in the confirmation box click delete. Now our scene is open and we are ready to start working on it. Let us first convert our enemy game object into a prefab. So come into the project and in asset I will right click, and I am now going to create a new folder, and I am going to call this as my prefabs. Come into the hierarchy, drag this enemy into the project panel my prefab folder. This is no more required in my scene as it will be spanned automatically. So I will select it and delete it. Now I am going to add this enemy into the scene using script. I will come into the hierarchy, right click, and I will create an empty object, and I am going to call this as spawn manager. Coming into the script, I will right click here and choose create. I will create a new mono behavior script. I am going to call this as span manager. Press enter. See that the public class name here and the name of the file is the same. Once it is compiled, I will drag this span manager and attach it to my span manager game object, so that if I select it in the inspector, you can see this span manager component here. Coming back to project panel, I will select span manager and double click to open it. This will open in Visual Studio Code, and if you see this trust the author screen, click on yes, I trust the author. Coming into this public class span manager mono behavior, we are going to first create a variable. I will come after this open flower bracket, press enter, add 2 forward slashes. I am going to create a variable to hold a reference to my enemy prefab. I will press enter and I am now going to declare this as public. The type of variable is GameObject and I am going to call this as enemy prefab, end it with semicolon. It is instantiated in the start. So I will come into the start and in the start code block, now I am going to call instantiate, open close bracket and end it with semicolon, and here the first parameter I am going to give is enemy prefab and then comma. I have to set its position. For this I will call new vector3, add open close bracket, and inside this for x I will set the value to 0 comma space, for y I will set it 0 comma space, and for z I will set a value of 6. Then I will come out of this bracket, add comma, I am going to call enemy prefab and in that I will call the transform component and I will set the rotation. If I go to file, save it, if I come back to Unity, allow the script to compile. And first thing here we have to do is, if you come into span manager, in the enemy prefab, as of now no game object is attached. So if I come into my prefab, I will drag my enemy and drag it into my enemy prefab. Now I will go to file, save it, and if I execute the file and if I check it, see automatically the enemy prefab is spawned. So now I will stop the playback. When I play the game, the enemy is spawning, but when it comes and hits the player is not moving. Force exerted on the player is very less. So I will stop the playback. Now I want to show you the difference in using fixed update versus update. So now I will come back to my enemy script. Now I will take the entire code within fixed update. I will cut it. I will come into update now. I will paste it. Go to file, save it. Now come back to Unity. Allow the script to compile, and once it is compiled, now if I play and check it, you can now see there is some movement in the player. So I will stop the playback, select my enemy prefab in the project panel, and here if you scroll down, the attack speed was set to 3. I will increase it a little to 10. Now I will go to file, save it, play the game. Now you can see that the pressure exerted on the player is more. So I will press W and I can also push. So the resistance offered is more. Okay, so I can also press here like this and move around. Okay, this is working fine. I am going to stop the playback. Right now when I play, every time the enemy is spanning at one particular position. Because if you come into the script, you can see open span manager script. See, we have added a manual value and we have set its value to 0, 0 and 6. I want this to be spanned at different position. Come back to Unity. In the scene view, I will come into this gizmo, right click and come into the top view. Now I will select the player. If I move to the right, you can see in the inspector, I can move to a value of approximately till 10. Along the x-axis, I will reset x back to 0. Then if I move it along the z-axis, say I can move it similarly to a range of about 10. I will set this back to 0. I can span it anything between -10 to +10 along the x-axis and -10 to +10 along the z-axis. I will come back to my script. After this public game object enemy prefab, I will press enter, add to /, create a variable to hold the span range, and I will press enter, and I am going to call this as private float, and I am going to set this span range equal to 10.0 f, end it with semicolon. I will come here into the instantiation. Before it get instantiated, after this open flower bracket, I will press enter and I will add 2 /, variable to create random position to span enemy, and I will press enter, and I am going to declare this as float, and I will call this as span position x. Set its value equal to a random dot range, and in open close bracket I will end it with semicolon. This range will be from minus span range, comma, to plus span range. I will select this entire line as it is, copy it, press enter, and I will paste it. And here instead of span position x, I am going to call this as span position Z. Now next here, I am going to come into this instantiate line. Instead of 0, I will use span position N, and instead of 6, I will use span position Z. If I go to file, save this, come back to Unity and allow the script to compile. But now if I play the game and check it, you can now see this gets spanned at different position. Now I will stop the playback, and if I again play it, see now this time it gets spanned at a different position. I will again stop it and play it and check it. See, every time it is spanning at different position. Stop the playback. Now opening back my span manager script, let us simplify it, and at the same time I am also going to now introduce you to methods that will return value. See, in the previous session we already know how to declare our own method, but we only declared void method. Say for example, in this case I want this random value to be generated by a method. After this update code block, after this closing flower bracket, I will press enter. I am going to declare a private method. This method is now going to return me something. And so just like we declare type of variable, now I have to declare what type of data this method is going to give back to me. It is now going to give me a vector3 value, and I am going to call this as GenerateSpawnPosition. Add open close bracket, press enter, and in open close flower bracket, I will come into this flower bracket. I will take these 3 lines from the start. I will cut this and put it into my vector3 here. I am now going to create a new variable called as vector3, and I will call this as random position, and I will set its value to new vector3, and in open close bracket end it with semicolon. I am going to now set span position x for x value, y will be 0, and for Z I am going to use span position Z. I am generating a new vector value through this random position, and you can see here on the top this is appearing red because I have declared this as a returnable vector3 method, and whenever I want something to be returned by the method, we have to use the keyword return. So I will press enter, and this is going to return the value of my random position. We have for the first time created a method which is going to return us some value, and the value it is returning is vector3. I am going to come into my instantiate, and here instead of this long line, I am going to call this method. So I will copy this method name. I will come here, and instead of this new vector3 here, I will paste it. This is going to generate a random position vector3, and I am replacing it in my instantiate code. The code looks more meaningful. So I will come above this start open flower bracket, press enter, add 2 forward slashes, span an enemy at random position. I will just add the comment. Above this method, I will press enter, add 2 forward slashes. This is a method to generate random position. After these 2 variables, I will press enter, add 2 forward slashes. This creates the random position vector. This we call it as refactoring the code. We have converted this entire GenerateSpawnPosition as a method, so that wherever we need a random vector3 component along x and z, I can call this GenerateSpawnPosition. I will go to file and save this file, come back to Unity and allow the script to get compiled. Now if I play and check it, now the game doesn't change. Again I will stop the playback and again play it, and every time now I play it, my enemy is spanning from different positions. So now I will stop the playback. I am now going to conclude this session, and in our next session we are going to discuss about adding power up and countdown. So for that, let us meet in our next session.